Good evening. My name is Father Rayappa. I am here in Vello, in a village called Kattupadi. It's about 8 kilometers from Vello. It's a small village. This is a place where I was born and brought up. And as a small little kid, I was grazing sheep in this agricultural field. And I'm talking about some 50 years back. That time, this was vibrating with the agriculture and wildlife and plenty of farmers. But now this village has turned out a desert. Actually, the whole ecosystem of Kattupadi village is facing desertification. People have abandoned the village and they have gone to cities to find their livelihood because there are no rains and there are no resources in this village. There is no pastoral field also to graze sheep or cows or goats. As I told you, when I was a small little kid, we used to have 150 sheep, about 30 cows, and this village is surrounded by mountains and lot of grass, lot of forest, and they could graze whole day. And morning we leave them in the mountains, and evening we go and bring them back. And it was a Garden of Eden, Garden of Eden. It was a paradise, but now a paradise turned into hell. And the climate change and global warming is felt very, very clearly by every person in this village. So we are facing the impact of the global warming. So today Pope Francis has written a beautiful encyclical called Laudato Si. He talks about ecology and environment, and also he talks about desertification, which is going on in some part of the world, especially here in Kattupadi village near Vello in southern India. Most of India is facing desertification. So actually, this problem is caused by human activity. Human activity. People deforested the forest, and for agricultural purpose. You can see the machine behind me, but now this machine is not put to use because there are no water, there are no cultivation, there is no water, there is no resources. So I think this machine has to rest for a while, I guess. So human activity is the main reason for climate change and global warming, even though there are few natural causes we can identify. So Pope Francis is writing beautifully. He says that this ecology and environment is a common good. It's common good for the past, for the present, for the future generations. That's a beautiful word. Climate is the common good. But human, because of their selfishness and indifference, and they have caused damage to this common good. Now this common good is suffering. So that is what he is talking in Laudato Si, and also he is identifying some of the causes, especially which is involving the human actions. And one is fossil fuel burning, the second one is the unsustainable agriculture. So these are the two main reasons which is accelerating the climate change and the global warming and the greenhouse effect. He talks about the greenhouse effect also. So I'm going to read paragraph number 23 from Laudato Si, Pope Francis' encyclical on ecology and environment. So Pope Francis writes as follows: the climate is a common good belonging to all and meant for all. At the global level, it is a complex system linked to many of the essential conditions for human life. A very solid scientific consensus indicates that we are presently witnessing a disturbing warming of the climatic system. In recent decades, this warming has been accompanied by a constant rise in the sea level, and it would appear by an increase of extreme weather events. Even if a scientifically determinable cause cannot be assigned to each particular phenomenon, humanity is called to recognize the need for changes of lifestyle, production, and consumption in order to combat this warming, or at least the human causes which produce or aggravate it. It is true that there are other factors such as volcanic activity, variations in the Earth's orbit and axis, the solar cycle. Yet a number of scientific studies indicate that most global warming in recent decades is due to the great concentration of greenhouse gases, carbon dioxide, methane, nitrogen oxides, and others, released mainly as a result of human activity. Concentrated in the atmosphere, these gases do not allow the warmth of the sun's rays reflected by the earth to be dispersed in space. The problem is aggravated by a model of development based on the intensive use of fossil fuels, which is at the heart of the worldwide energy system. Another determining factor has been an increase in uses of soil, principally deforestation for agricultural purposes. So that is what Pope is writing. And there is a lot of consensus in the scientific field about the involvement of the human activity. The human activity has to be blamed. And the effects of global warming and climate change can be disastrous. There is a sea level rise, and there is desertification, there is shortage of water, and famine, hunger, disease, and droughts. All these are the outcome of the global warming and climate change. Pope is writing so beautifully in the first paragraph, in the first part of the 23rd paragraph. And also he says that we should change our lifestyle. Change our lifestyle. We can't continue as we have been doing for the past 100 or 200 years. We can't go further. And I mean, it is not sustainable. So we need to change our lifestyle. And also we need to change the model of production, distribution, consumption. We have to bring all this stuff to a more sustainable way, and probably based on reuse, recycle, reject, react. All these principles have to be brought in when we examine and when we want to eradicate the problem of global warming and climate change. And Pope is talking about greenhouse gases. The greenhouse gases are trapping the sun's energy and then radiating on the surface of the earth. Actually, the greenhouse gases are carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, the bad ozone, all these other gases, all these greenhouse gases are trapping the heat of the sun. Pope talks about greenhouse effect. What is a greenhouse effect? Greenhouse effect is nothing but if you have a car and you close the windows and then leave the car under the sun at probably in the morning, 10 o'clock, and you come 12 o'clock after 2 hours and go inside the car and you sit down and you feel very hot because the heat has come inside the car through the windows. It's a thermal energy. So it is a incoming energy. It goes inside the car and outside it has to go outside the car, but now it's not going because there is a roof, there are glasses, so everything is covered. So the heat is not escaping from the car. So it is radiating inside the car without going out. So that is the greenhouse effect. Exactly like that. It's atmosphere. Atmosphere is divided into troposphere, stratosphere, mesosphere. So the 15 kilometers is called troposphere, in which all these greenhouse gases concentrate. And when the sun rays comes in the morning, and it comes and warms up the surface of the planet, and then it has to go back, and at least 60 to 70% of the heat has to go back to space. As it is going back, the greenhouse gases in the troposphere, they block and they don't allow the thermal heat to be dispersed into the space. So they trap it and again re-emit, again resend it on the surface of the earth. It doesn't allow greenhouse gases to be dispersed. So the heat is concentrating again and again on the surface of the planet. So that is the greenhouse effect. So when it is increased every time, every 100 years, there will be 1 degree Celsius of increase of temperatures. So that's what's happening for the past 100 years. I think 1 degree Celsius has increased on the surface of the planet. So Pope is talking about greenhouse effect, and also he is identifying the causes for this kind of situation. So actually he's telling it is a fossil fuel use. That is the first cause. Because all these greenhouse gases are emitted by burning the fossil fuel like coal, petrol, diesel, natural gas, biomass, rubbish. All that thing is in the form of carbon dioxide and methane. It is released into the atmosphere. So the first thing is fossil fuel use. So everybody is involved. Everybody has a car, everybody has electricity in their houses, and each and every person is responsible for that. And then he says that deforestation is happening all over the world. That is a big problem. When you deforest, it's called slash and burning agriculture. You deforest and you set fire, and you're burning and releasing the carbon which is locked in the trees for thousands of years. And now you are releasing back to the atmosphere. So the trees are called the carbon dioxide sink or carbon sink. So they store carbon dioxide actually for a normal emissions of carbon, and these trees can take them and recycle them very efficiently. But now we are putting more than what they could handle, and this is beyond their capacity to process the carbon from the atmosphere. So that means human activity is more powerful than the natural systems can operate and fix the problem. So that is the thing what's going on. So there is excessive carbon. So when you deforest it, it is like a vicious circle created. And you put carbon and you again deforest those trees in the first place. If they are there, at least they could have taken up the carbon what the cars are spewing out. But now you are deforesting the trees too. So that is stupidity. That is so sad. And that is how the concentration of greenhouse gases, they increase in the atmosphere. And then Pope is blaming the agriculture. The agriculture, look at the machine behind me. I mean, once upon a time, even in my village, we used to plow the land with bulls and plow. It's a natural, organic agriculture, but today people use this kind of machines. They use fossil fuel, and they emit carbon dioxide, and they burn a lot of fuel, and unfortunately there is no water. If there is water, they are going to pollute more. So is it unfortunate or fortunate? I think it's fortunate because they can't burn the fuel because there is no water. So they don't burn the fuel. I'm very happy about it. But people starve. There is no livelihood here. So we are damned, both the sides. Both the sides. So these machines, at least here in my village, there are small machines. And if you go to industry farming, it's a huge machines. And there is a tiller, there is a tractor, there is a harvest machine, or a pesticide sprayer. There are thousands of machines, and they burn fossil fuel. And this land is being used, reused, and also they dump because the productivity has gone so much down. People now buy fertilizers and they are using it. They cultivate small piece of land because there is only little water available, but they put lot of pesticides, fertilizers, um, and they'll pollute the land too. So Pope is very much concerned about global warming and climate change and greenhouse effect. So that is what he's writing in the paragraph number 23. And when you have chance, please read it, and I think you will understand much easier. And read the paragraph number 23 from Laudato Si, Pope Francis encyclical on ecology and environment. And thank you, and God bless.